Donald Trump is on his way back to the White House, but what does it mean for your portfolio, for your wallet, and for the entire economy? Let's go ahead and break it down. So we finally have some of the biggest pieces of the puzzle put together, and we can start to make some educated guesses and assumptions for what may happen over the next 2 to 4 years. However, we really want to limit this to about 6 months to a year and maybe even 2 years at the absolute most. I'm going to tell you why that is the case and then give you some things to use to help you to organize your portfolio, most importantly, organize your thoughts on what you should be having on your radar for your money moving forward. I'm also only going to keep this focused on the economy. That is what my degrees, plural, are on. So you want to grab your notepad and everything in between because you want to buckle up for this. All right, so here's what we know based on what he has proposed and the information that we have right now at the time that I am recording this. He's a president-elect, okay? He takes office in January, but the Congress right now, that is the Senate and the House of Representatives, Republicans have control of the Senate. So that is checked off. At the time I'm recording, the House of Representatives is leaning Republican, but it is not locked up just yet. Why is that important? Because to pass things, you usually need a unified government to do so. That means things like tax law, which do impact your pockets, needs to have, an easy pass from the House of Representatives to the Senate and then for the president to sign it. So let's start there with taxes. It was proposed, two proposals, to just flat out cut taxes. Now, he did explicitly propose to cut corporate taxes from 21% down to 15%. That is going to have significant impacts. He also proposed to cut our taxes, everybody's taxes. I don't remember what the exact percentages were, but your tax bill is supposed to go down according to his proposal. Now, first, there is this issue. When and if you cut taxes, you do increase the U.S. debt and the U.S. deficit. Those are two separate things. The deficit is the amount that you lose each year by spreading those things out, the amount you make, versus that drop in revenue, and then the debt is what you have at the end of the day. So the debt keeps growing. The deficit is that spread that keeps opening when you keep increasing that gap. So that's the difference between the two. But when you cut taxes, you don't raise more revenue, you do increase the debt. The last time he cut taxes, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act 2017, we did increase debt. So you cut taxes again, which, no one wants to pay more taxes, so I understand it. You're going to increase the debt more. Last I checked, we did have a whole debt ceiling fight that almost crippled the entire government. We did a whole video on that, and that may be something that will not come up until, was it 2024? So 2026 after midterms, and there may be a whole midterm thing then. Bookmark that, okay? 2026, we're going to have a whole another midterm election. Congress could be a little different. I'm telling you now, debt ceiling issue, because should things get passed, just want to be aware of that. Okay, so taxes, that's one thing. For corporate taxes, should corporate taxes get cut, that is a big boost to companies and a great boost to the stock market. So I would expect taxes, should taxes get cut, I would expect the stock market to continue to grow. The stock market has done well prior to today. At the time I'm doing this video, I think the stock market was up close to 2%, which is good. But remember, and we did the stat the other day, I think the stock market had hit well over 30 or 40 all-time highs this year alone. It was up more than 20%. So the stock market was already on a tear this year. You guys know how well Walmart has done, Nvidia, Chipotle up until the halfway point, and then it fell off after that. But the stock market had done well already. That is likely to continue. Donald Trump does have the business acumen box checked. Now, whether or not the bankruptcies weigh on him and all the other things, apparently not. People don't really care too much about that, but he does have that aura. However, he also has the benefit of the Federal Reserve also looking to continue to cut interest rates. That also happened just a few weeks ago as well. Again, the Fed is looking to cut interest rates. If they don't already announce it tomorrow, I would expect them to do it here before the end of the year and maybe once or twice in 2025. This usually helps to continue to help the stock market to continue to grow. So we'll see. If that continues, I would expect the stock market to continue to do quite well. We have also seen how crypto has done quite well too. There is a reason for crypto doing well. That's because Donald Trump and by association Elon Musk, they have their own cryptocurrencies, for better or worse. You take it however you want. But there has been some associations. I haven't seen any concrete laws. And again, saying something as a president, saying something as a billionaire investor CEO does not a law make. You still need to get this through Congress. But they say they're going to unlock crypto and make that a true thing. Again, I need to see a bill written by Congress for him to actually sign it. However, the thought is they're going to be less aggressive than what the Biden administration has done. We saw FTX get sued and all that type of stuff. Perhaps you're not going to see as much aggression, and maybe you'll see some legislation that can help crypto become more legitimate. I actually think if that's the case, it could be a good thing. That is one reason why crypto has done so well. Should you invest in crypto? I would say, yeah. I've always argued that, up to about 5% you should have some money in crypto. Now, I'm not the biggest believer in crypto and it being the next best, greatest thing in the world and some transformative thing, but having 2, 3, 4, up to 5% absolutely makes sense. Gold was also something we talked about. I did a whole video on gold and why gold was at an all-time high. May still make some sense. However, now that we do have some semblance of stability, we know who is going to be in office. We know what the Senate is going to look like. That's a question mark for me. I'm not entirely sure if people are as concerned because gold tends to go up when people feel like there's going to be high inflation, when there's going to be chaos. And now I'm not entirely sure if people feel the exact same thing. Emotionally, people felt like when they didn't know what the president was, when they felt like the economy was bad, that things were going to go into chaos. Now they may feel like they know what they're going to get, and the stock market is reflecting that. Now, are people's feelings the same things as fact? The answer is no. Okay, the answer is no. And that's because as an economist, there's a difference between me looking at GDP, me looking at gas prices if you want to do that, me looking at the unemployment rate, and I can sit here and read all those stats to you and tell you that the economy is good because unemployment is quite low. Earlier this year was at a 50-year low. We know that we did not hit the technical definition, a textbook definition rather, of a recession. We know all that. But if I go out and ask 50 people about how the economy is doing, people would tell me it was terrible. They would, but they're not. Okay, I would also say, I just told you it was 30 or 40 all-time highs in the stock market. This would generally tell you that things are good. But if I were to go out and ask people, how is the economy doing, they would still tell you it was not good. So just because the numbers say it's good, that doesn't really mean anything if people feel that it is bad. So now that those feelings may have changed just because they feel like they have a change in leadership, that may change the sentiment for gold for the long term. So I'm not as confident in gold moving forward. So crypto may continue to do well. Gold, I'm a little more hesitant on. In terms of where to invest, index bonds absolutely continue to make sense. Tech, I think, is still going to do well. I think the key thing in tech, when it comes to like the bigger companies, Google's, Nvidia, so on and so forth, there were a lot of major lawsuits and mergers for, I think, Spirit and with JetBlue and some of those other companies. We saw that they were trying to merge, and for maybe it was a good reason, maybe it wasn't, depending on how you want to look at that. A lot of those mergers and monopoly things were blocked by certain agencies, which for consumers were probably a good thing, but that kind of hurt those companies and slowed them down just a bit. Well, I don't think the Trump administration is going to be as aggressive. That side of the aisle doesn't tend to be as aggressive and tends to be more business friendly. Those companies should continue to do well if if they are in power and things run the way that we expect them to. So I expect tech to continue to roam free without much impunity or without much hassle in that space. But everything's not good. Okay, there are some things that you may want to be aware of. Number one, tariffs. Now, he has threatened and put it out there. Whether or not he follows up on it, we will all find out. He has threatened that 200% tariff on everything not made here in the US. Now, I've talked about tariffs and how those tariffs work. You want to see that whole breakdown, you want to check out this video here. But short version, a 200% tariff, how that works is you slap an extra tax on goods not made here. If I am a company importing those goods, then I say, all right, I'm buying this thing from China, I have to pay an extra 200%. Do you really think as a business that I'm just going to pay that and eat that cost? No, I'm going to pass that cost on to you, the consumer. You, the consumer, now have to pay more for that thing. What does that do? That's the definition of inflation. You paying more for stuff is what that is at the end of the day. The question is, one, is he actually going to follow up on it? Two, is that going to make up for the decrease in revenue from taxes? Studies show that that is not going to be the case, but again, we will see. Three, if that's the case and you start to see things go about 200% on your end, will you just stop spending? Because now, if your taxes go down and I get to choose what I buy and what I don't buy, and I can just look around and say, hey, I just don't want to be taxed today, so I'm not going to buy X, Y, and Z. What happens there, right? Because 2/3 of our economy is based on consumer spending. If I don't spend today and the economy doesn't grow as a whole and you're not taxing me on income, what happens? How do we deal with that? I don't know. I do not know what happens there. So that is something that we would have to contend with. Some economists say that tariff could raise your cost by up to $4,000 to $6,000 per year. We'll see. Will he implement it, and will it be across all goods, or will it just be a few? And what will other countries do? In most cases, you don't slap a tariff on some other country and just leave it. They also do retaliatory tariffs, meaning you slap something on us, we're going to slap something on you, which means now if I'm somebody who sells things overseas, now my thing is more expensive and now they don't want to buy my stuff. Now I have to deal with people not buying my things, which means now I need to lay people off in my country or my employees. It's going to hurt me. So for example, I have sold books in the UK. If my books become more expensive there, I don't have employees, it's just me. But if I had people that I hire and now I can't sell 50,000 books in the UK now because it's way more expensive and they have a 200% tariff, well now I can't hire 50 people. Now I need to cut my staff by 25 and now the unemployment rate goes up. That can happen if it goes through, if it is mass tariffs, or if you're just saying, hey, it's just on oranges, that's a different story. Okay, so that is one thing. And this is probably the hardest one because it has a whole lot of other baggage to it just with the topic. Okay, so sticking to the economics of it, removing 10 to 20 million people, whatever the number is, and the legality of doing such, you can't do that without having some sort of financial implication to the economy. That is mathematically impossible. Literally impossible. You can't take 20 million people from something and have zero economic fallout from that. Because 20 million people, or however many people, right? Whatever, because I've seen him do a speech and he went from 2 million to 10 to 15 to 25 all the way up to like 50 million. So however many, right? Taking those people out, again, whether they are spending money on food at somebody's grocery stores, right? Renting, all those property owners are getting a benefit from that. These people are working somewhere, so someone is hiring these people, right? And they are working as contractors or whatever. Those businesses don't get that revenue. They don't get that work. So like there is going to be some sort of collapse somewhere and no one to fill those positions. Now, why do I know there's no one to fill those positions? Remember, the unemployment rate right now is under 5%. Okay, we can put the exact rate here. You take out that many people and the unemployment rate is already low, where are you going to get people to do those jobs? That's the issue. Now, your solution to that, that's not my purview. I can only talk about the economic implications of doing so, but that would be a major, massive concern, because automatically that would raise costs. So let's say, and I don't have the numbers on this, but let's say that X amount of people in that population work in construction. You take out that entire population, then we have less people to build. Building costs through the roof. Housing costs now through the roof. Now you can't build housing. Housing is already high. Average housing costs well over $400,000 to build a new home, or average housing price, median housing price, well over $400,000. Now $600,000. Now what? Now what do we do? Right? If people are working in agriculture, right? And again, you have this many people working, but now you bring it down significantly. Now we already are dealing with high food costs. Everybody agreed with that. That's why people were upset about the economy. That's why you elected who you elected. Now you bring that down and it's more expensive because we have less people out there in agriculture, in farming. Now that's more expensive because you have less people. And now you have, maybe a tariff or something on top of that. Now what do you do? So that would be my concern if that is done. Now, maybe that was all talk. I don't know. But that would be, I don't want to be alarmist or catastrophic or what have you, but that math does not add up. You can't take out that many people and get the exact same result, because you don't get, remove 20 million people from something. Who else does that level? Who else can do that? We don't have robots yet that replaces that level of work. And if you did, you're not getting them online that quickly. We don't have enough electric power to do that. Ask the state of Texas. They run out of power all the time. Okay, so I don't know how you would solve that equation and how you would prop up an entire economy to do so that quickly. And he says he's going to do that in, day one or so. So we'll see, but that would be a major concern. So when you put all these things together, where do we end up? Number one, will all these things happen is a question mark. I absolutely do not know. What I do know is this. For the next 2 years, my estimation, not a prediction, not a guarantee, my estimation is that we are going to be on a sugar rush. The stock market specifically is going to be on a sugar rush. This tends to happen, and we saw it with the last administration last time that Trump was in office. Stock market was excited, everybody was giddy, things were great from a stock market perspective. But then what happened in 2018? You started to see, again, depending on where you at, promises fulfilled or not, the stock market started to fall. I think the stock market was down about 5%, 5.18% in 2018. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the stock market is going to fall in 2026. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. Okay, what I am here to tell you is I absolutely do think that this wave of momentum, provided that we don't have, a catastrophe, a war, or anything like that, which I pray does not happen. But I do think this wave will continue. The stock market is already up right now. I don't see anything on the horizon. I would expect that to continue. And because I do think taxes could fall, because the government is unified and he tends to be more business friendly, I think this wave is going to continue for an extended period of time. So a year and a half, and then things will wear off, and then we'll see what happens after that. And once you run into midterm elections, will things change? Will there be a barrier at that point in time? Then that's when things may or may not get choppy. So am I overly confident in that? I don't make 2 and 3 year predictions. Okay, I'm certainly not going to put a number on that, but I do think we are absolutely going to see a sugar rush. What I want you to be extremely careful about in this time, we're going to see if this is going to be a sugar rush. Okay, if this is going to be the case, what you're going to see is a lot of the same things you saw very early during the pandemic. A whole bunch of trash stocks, trash meme coins, where people are telling you just to buy and buy and buy without having really good basis for doing so, and seeing people show you that they think they got rich very quickly. If that's the case, they're gonna be out here being fake experts for, you know, a month or two at a time until it disappears. Be very careful around stuff like that. That is how you get burned, and those people got burned last time and it disappeared. Okay, your boy done been here. Your boy done been here for 14 years now. Okay, September 24th was my 14th year doing this in one way or another. Okay, be very careful of that. Learn your lessons from what you saw in 2020 and 2021. Okay, just want you to be extremely careful. But there are a lot of things to continue to dig through. Everything will be solidified, or more solidified rather, in January. And as things roll out, as bills get passed, we will be here, we will be on it, and we will make sure that you are in the right space. Also, I am playing around with an idea of kind of having a special class, like we'll register for it and kind of have like a workshop on what exactly, like what types of stocks we should do, should consider investing in, and all that type of stuff. If you are interested in doing that, then let me know in the comments, because I'm like forming an idea to like really drill down. I wanted to wait until we knew what was going to happen. I still need to figure out what's happening in the house and like dig into all the policies while we, you know, cover to cover on both. There's a lot of books, right? Why just, let me just get whoever's in office and then read one book instead of both. Okay, so I wanted to have at least one of those solidified and then read into it and then give you deep detailed analysis. So let me know what you think, and then we can like set up a time, a Zoom call or something, and we can all like get into a huddle and I can give you my knowledge and wisdom at that point in time. So let me know what you think. Also, shout out to all of our members only. They are here to make this channel possible. Shout out to y'all. Also, if you want to join our members only, then you know what to do if you want to shout out and if you want access to videos like this early. All right, that is it for today. If you want stocks that are actually doing well right now and are expected to be election proof to a degree, then this is the video you want to watch next.